with a prospective destination for an ex-WWE star and more. This is Wrestling Rambles. My name is John, and you're watching the Wrestling Report. Before we move on, make sure you subscribe to Wrestling Rambles with notifications on, and don't forget to like the video. When it comes to a match at Fastlane seemingly not taking place, the Wrestling Observer newsletter wrote that other clear directions are Rhea Ripley versus Nia Jax for the Women's World title, although that may not be on this show, while WWE Women's Champion Io Sky seems to have Charlotte Flair or a three-way with Asuka and Flair on the horizon. Gunther versus Tommaso Ciampa also looks to be on this show. Cambridge Fieldhouse is sold out with 11,548 tickets. Revealing how much he smokes in a day, Rob Van Dam told Chris Van Vliet, "I wake up and I usually smoke 2 doobies in the morning just like Bob Marley. After that I'll drink coffee, and then after that I'll either do something like go to the gym, or I gotta make some goals or go somewhere. If I go and decide to go and roll that 3rd doobie, that usually kinda changes the day. I'm pretty much rolling all day, but anywhere it'd probably be between 5 and 10, with a factor being sometimes if Katie's there, if she's smoking with me and smokes half the doobie, then I only get half as much." Asked about possibly competing in the New Japan G1 Climax tournament, Bryan Danielson told Getting Over, "I don't know. Sometimes I have delusions of doing the G1. I think that's what they are. I think they're delusions in the sense of that's something I've wanted to do forever and ever and ever. I've never been able to do it. This year would be the year to do it. Except, is it? By the time the next G1 rolls around, I'll be 43. And with how many injuries, that's a big part of why I want to step away from full-time wrestling too. To do this, I love doing this, but it's not worth the expense of my health later on in life. I've already had enough injuries as it is. Right now, I feel like the injuries that I've had are manageable in the sense of long term. I'm constantly doing stuff for my neck so that my neck isn't bad when I'm 70. The concussion stuff, I do my best, but all of us, we're just hoping for the best. We don't know. There is no concrete science on it. I think now doing a G1 might be a little irresponsible of me in comparison to what my overall long-term goals are, which is being there for my kids and there for my family." Talk about the upcoming Elimination Chamber event taking place in Perth, Australia. Native of Sydney, Grayson Waller said this to SEN. "As Australians, we always joke about Sydney, Melbourne, Queensland, who's better? Everyone kind of hates each other, but when it comes to a stage where there's an Australian in a prominent position, whether it's sport or whatever it is, the Aussies get behind them. So, for one night only, willing to turn babyface." Regarding what could be in the future of former AEW champion Jade Cargill following her signing with WWE, the Wrestling Observer newsletter reported that WWE announced the Jade Cargill signing on September 26th and made it a big deal. The fact they pushed the signing to ESPN and had been working on significant creative for her on the main roster for weeks now tells you they are grooming her for a top position. The fact they already pushed it also would indicate her debut would be reasonably soon. Because her contract expired, there is no non-compete period. Touching on WWE matches that will not see the light of day anymore, it was said that gimmick matches used to fill WWE television, and some of them were a bit extreme. They were a sign of the times, as Jerry Springer brought massive ratings during the day, only to be replaced by WWE's NSFW programming at night. Ringside News recently discussed this idea with a tenured member of the WWE creative team. "We were told that certain matches will not be back, no matter how much fans might love them. We were told there are a lot of banned matches at this point. Fans should never expect to see a bra and panties match happening again." It was also noted that First Blood and barbed wire matches are also a thing of the past in WWE. It was also noted to us that blading will never return to WWE. That has been a long controversial way of bringing color to matches in the form of real blood. Now, WWE has a much different philosophy when it comes to that subject. Going over a future opponent for the WWE Undisputed Universal Champion Roman Reigns, the Wrestling Observer newsletter said, LA Knight is believed to be returning on SmackDown on September 29th, and one would expect they go to the original plan. Knight, who is very hot right now when it comes to all facets of business and reactions, appears to be groomed for a Roman Reigns title shot in the not-too-distant future. Reigns has no obvious contender at this point, and will be defending on the November 4th show in Saudi Arabia. Mentioning the reactions of a potential move to AEW for former WWE stars, the Wrestling Observer newsletter noted that a lot of ex-WWE talent went to AEW and saw it as a step down, and even though some of them have been pushed, they haven't really helped the company, although they still may. But there are several that you get the impression that they can't wait to get back to WWE, see it as the major league, if they can get an offer when their AEW deal expires. As many names from WWE were let go in a round of talent cuts, the Wrestling Observer newsletter mentioned that we've heard people say AEW doesn't need new talent that can't be top guys, basically with the idea, since they weren't top guys in WWE, that AEW can't use them. But it should be noted Riddle's role in his last few months with the company and Jon Moxley's role, where he always lost, in his last few months were identical, although Riddle certainly has the baggage issue that Moxley didn't have. But Moxley went from the same position to being one of AEW's big three stars with Chris Jericho and Kenny Omega during the successful launch of the company. There's also the question of whether Edge, a bigger name than all of them, might be interested in going. Since his contract expires this week with WWE, he would have the most short-term value, although at his age, that would have to be thought of as short-term. The fact Tony Khan feels Christian is so valuable right now at the same age, and that AEW and Edge were negotiating a deal 3+ years ago when WWE came back with a better deal, would indicate on this one that the ball is in Edge's court. Recently released, WWE star Shelton Benjamin seems to have support when it comes to making the move to AEW, as it was noted that Fightful Select has heard that Shelton Benjamin has had numerous talent hoping that he'll join the company in some capacity, but it doesn't stop there. There were actually talent pushing for him to join the company several months ago, when there were incorrect rumors within the industry that his contract was set to expire soon. As it turned out, there was plenty of time left on his deal, and he was eventually released. We're also told that completely separate of talent that have pushed for Shelton Benjamin, that AEW has been looking to add producers to hopefully get to the point where they can have each producer work one match per show. With Matt Riddle being released by WWE recently, this was said about the way he was perceived backstage in the company by the Wrestling Observer newsletter. Riddle also had heat with management at one point right after that for going off the script and putting over Orton on a live television interview when talking about how much pain Orton was in during the latter stages of their team and before the injury angle was shot. While praised for the promo going behind the scenes and being real, it was not what was scripted for him. His role after that point was being a popular babyface who had good matches, played his naive stoner gimmick, but was mostly there to put over the pushed heels, such as a program where he continually lost to Gunther. Several in the company noted that he probably would have been among the top stars in the company, but because of the constant negative stuff that had come out, they were not going to push him past mid-level at this point. Staying on the topic of Matt Riddle, who is currently a free agent in pro wrestling, PCO said this on Les Antipods about the original bro being talked about over at Impact Wrestling. Of course it did. Already there were names mentioned by people close to the office. The names that were circulating were Matt Riddle, Dolph Ziggler, and Mustafa Ali. These are the three names that supposedly Impact would try to sign. Speaking of Riddle, he recently updated his profile picture on X, where he is wearing a banana hammock, as this garnered some responses from fans that were less than pleased, as they wrote, "Hey, do yourself a favor and don't look at Matt Riddle's new profile picture. Don't nobody need to see all that? I should have listened. If you didn't mention it, I wouldn't have thought to look. Thanks. Bro, you're a little late. I've been exposed already. Too late. Now I regret looking. No need to look at Matt's profile picture. WTF. Anyway, here is a tribute post to the American Dragon. For a story on the late Bray Wyatt, it was noted that a report is going around the internet about cancel Bray Wyatt plans. The new word making the rounds is that Cody Rhodes asked for it to be The Fiend versus Cody Rhodes during their planned summer feud, and it was internally being considered and would have possibly been the direction they went in. We can confirm that this is 100% fake. Ringside News reached out to a tenured member of the WWE creative team, someone who would know about Bray Wyatt versus Cody Rhodes plans. This person 100% denied that this was ever the plan. They fired back a reply that it is fake news. WWE never made any plans for Bray Wyatt's return, except for the reported Wyatt 6 stable, but those plans never really got very far. Sadly, Wyatt never returned to WWE before his tragic passing. Ringside News exclusively reported that we are told by a tenured member of the creative team that plans for the Wyatt 6 faction were not really that far along. We were also told that no one knew if or when he'd ever be able to return. And this was your pro wrestling news update. I hope you're all having a great day. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see y'all later.